Takiwātanga in his, her, their own time and space.
Being cool. The kids that are in his class that have autism, super cool.
Autism's about a different perspective on life.
And once you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person.
There is nothing wrong with having autism, you know. It's set in it. Once you know you got it, and it's set to get on with life a lot better, you know.
They bring change. They are non-judgmental.
Being different ways to thinking.
I'm autistic. If you don't look autistic, it is a very ableist statement.
Autism is a label. Forget the label and just live as normal life as possible. Autism is about hope.
Takiwātanga. Love Not Cure, exploring autism one strength at a time.
Hello, how's everyone doing? Yay! Alright, today we're going to do some myth busting about autism. Obviously not the complete list, but just some of the questions I had when learning about this, and I'm still learning about this condition. So let's get right to it. Number 1, autism can be cured or something children can outgrow. So basically, autism happens because of differences in how a person's brain develops, which are related to their biology. This means it's something you're born with and it affects you for your whole life. However, that doesn't mean that kids with autism can't get better at things like talking and making friends. They can improve a lot of this, just like other kids do as they grow up and learn new things. But it's important to understand that they don't simply grow out of autism. Either a child or a person is autistic or neurotypical. That's it. Autism is part of who they are, and while they can get better at handling some challenges, autism itself doesn't go away. Autism is like a different way of seeing and interacting with the world. Some people with autism might find it harder to talk or understand social cues, while others might have some strong interests in specific topics. These differences can or come from how their brains are wired. With support, therapy, and practice, kids with autism and even young adults and adult autistic individuals can still learn the skills that help them communicate better and connect with others. It's a bit like learning a new game. At first, it might be tricky because we don't know anything about the game. With time and help from others, we can start understanding about the game, and it gets easier as time goes by. Even though autism is always part of who they are, many people with autism live happy and successful lives, finding their own ways to shine. Number 2, autistic people do not have empathy or emotional understanding. So basically, autism can make it harder for someone to pick up on subtle emotional cues like the tone of someone's voice or their body language. But when emotions are shown more clearly, kids and adults with autism often show a lot of empathy and care for others. There's a lot of evidence that support this, and people with autism might not always notice the small hints that others give about how they're feeling. For example, they might not catch a sad tone in someone's voice or recognize that crossed arms can mean someone is upset. However, when emotions are expressed in a straightforward way, like saying, I feel sad, or I need a hug, or I'm upset, many people with autism can understand and respond with great kindness and empathy. They can be very caring and be a supportive friend when emotions are communicated clearly. It's black and white, basically. Number 3, autistic individuals are difficult to have social interactions and friendships. People with autism often find social interactions and anxiety make it harder to make friends. But this doesn't mean they don't want friends. Most kids and adults with autism do like to socialize, but they just might do it differently. Social situations can sometimes be tough for people with autism because they might feel nervous or unsure about how to act. They can make it seem like they don't want to make friends, but that's not true at all. They usually want friends as much as anyone else, just like neurotypicals. They might prefer smaller groups or one-on-one time with a friend or someone they want to interact with. They can have great friends. It just might look a little different from what you used to. Number 4, they all fall in the category of geniuses with exceptional skills and talents. So basically, some people with autism are really good at things like math, art, science, while others are struggling with difficulties and challenges. But that's only a small part of the whole picture. It's important to see them as amazing individuals beyond just their special skills. So we should see the wonderful person they are beyond their autism diagnosis. Some people with autism are really good at specific things like being able to solve complex math problems quickly, or creating incredible artwork, or play classical music. However, this is only a small percentage of everyone with autism. Remember, the autism spectrum is very wide. So most people with autism have different strengths and challenges. Instead of just thinking about these special abilities, it's better to get to know them as unique individuals with their own interests, talents, and personalities. Everyone has something special about them, and people with autism are no different. They have their own stories, dreams, and qualities that make them extraordinary in their own ways. Number 5, they do not have sense of humor and creativity. The idea that people with autism don't have sense of humor is totally wrong. People often mistakenly think that because someone has autism, they might not understand jokes or how to be funny. But this isn't true at all. Many people with autism have a great sense of humor and can be very witty and clever. They might enjoy some different types of jokes or have a unique way of being funny, but they can definitely make you laugh a lot. So it's important to see them as individuals who can be just as funny and entertaining as anyone else. Number 6, autistic people are violent people. Don't believe in every news stories you might see about autism. Especially in the media, they tend to sensationalize things about autism. There's no evidence that people with autism are more violent than others. No, nada. Sometimes the news or movies might show people with autism as being more aggressive or violent, but this isn't true. Lots of research has shown that people with autism are not more likely to be violent than anyone else. Sometimes the news or movies might show people with autism as being more aggressive or violent, but this is just not true. Lots of research has shown that people with autism are not more likely to be violent. Just like anyone else, people with autism can be kind, caring, and gentle. The idea that they are more violent is a harmful stereotype, and that doesn't reflect the reality about autism. Number 7, autistic people cannot have wonderful romantic relationships. Many people with autism are in wonderful, loving, romantic relationships, just like everyone else. But not every person with autism chooses to be in a relationship, and that doesn't mean they can't be in one. People with autism can have loving and happy romantic relationships just like you and me, neurotypicals. Some might choose to be single, which is okay, and being single is also common among people without autism. Choosing not to be in a relationship is different from being unable to be in one. People with autism are just as capable of love and romance, and they can have deep, meaningful connections with their partners. So it's important to understand that their relationships might look a bit different, but they can be just as strong and loving. Number 8, all autistic people are intellectually disabled. So many people with autism have intellectual disabilities, but many do not as well. Just because someone has trouble communicating doesn't mean they have an intellectual disability. It just means that we need to assess their intelligence differently in ways that don't rely so much on communication skills. Autism affects people in different ways. Some people with autism might also have intellectual disabilities, but others might be very intelligent. Having difficulty with speaking or understanding language doesn't mean a person isn't smart. It just means we need to find other ways to understand their abilities. For example, instead of using tests that depend a lot on talking, we can use tests that measure problem-solving skills or other types of thinking. It's important to recognize and respect the different ways people with autism show their intelligence. Number 9, all autistic individuals are the same. So not every child with autism will be great at math, repeat words, have trouble speaking, or have hand mannerisms. Every person on the autism spectrum is different with their own unique talents, personalities, and challenges. Autism doesn't mean just one thing. It's a way to understand a different way of thinking about the world, and kids and adults with autism should be appreciated for that. People with autism are just as varied as anyone else. Some might be really good at math, while others might not be. Some might repeat words or phrases, this is called echolalia, but not everyone does. Some might have trouble speaking while others can talk just fine. Some might have specific hand movements, but again, not everyone does this. The label autism helps us understand that these differences are part of a spectrum, meaning there is a wide range of ways people with autism can think, feel, and act. It's important to see them as individuals and their own special qualities and to value them for who they are. So, here's the deal with autism. It's been getting a lot more attention lately, and for good reasons. We've learned a lot about it, and it's time to set the record straight. Autism isn't something you just grow out of or get rid of. It's like a fingerprint unique to each individual or each person. Autism is something that lasts a lifetime and comes from how the brain develops differently. But just because someone is autistic doesn't mean they can't have a great life. They may have some challenges with things like talking to people or understanding social cues. But with the right support, love, and care, they can learn and grow. Can make some things a bit tougher, like talking to people or picking up social cues, but this is not all bad news. So instead of trying to change them, we should celebrate their strengths and what makes them unique. To be honest, people with autism can totally rock at life. They just might have to work a bit harder in some areas, but they can still live super fulfilling lives. And guess what? They're just as capable of feeling empathy, cracking jokes, and falling in love as anyone else. So instead of trying to fix autism, let's celebrate the awesome things about it. We're all different, and that's what makes the world interesting. It's about appreciating what each person can bring to the table. We can make the world better by embracing our differences. Let's build a better place where everyone feels valued.
Every tangata fight Takiwātanga is different. If you fail with one strategy, don't stop. Keep moving forward. Always remember that for every failure you encounter is one step closer to your success. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, me muto te whakawa haere. Let's stop judging others. Me mahi tahi tato. Let's all work together. Kia maya, kia kaha, be brave and be strong.